The Norse gods are alive! Mythologies from the past, right? Really old history from a long time ago, isn't it? When I think of ancient gods, I think of something like this. The Parthenon in Athens, temple to Athena, the Greek god of wisdom, one of my favourites. It just feels like something from thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, not really anything to do with today. My name is Amy, and I want to tell you about a place where things are different. I recently had the chance to visit Iceland, a phantasmagorical land of fire and ice. And yes, it smells of rotten eggs. Mud and water literally boils out of the ground. Glaciers creak and crack, breaking off into diamond icebergs that float off into the sea. It is such a magical place. So maybe it's not surprising that half of adults in Iceland today still believe in fairies and owls. When they build walls, they make sure to avoid the owls' houses. The Norse gods are literally alive today in the minds of 150,000 Icelanders. The thing about myths and ancient gods is that they tell us more about the people who wrote the stories than any particular gods themselves. Let's jump back to Greece for a moment. Now, of course, Greece as we know it didn't actually exist back then. It was just a collection of city-states, but the weather was warm and food abundant. Life there must have been pretty easy. So easy that people could sit around in the sunshine and think up beautiful stories about their perfect gods, and adventurers setting off on boats wearing nothing more than a bedsheet. Iceland, on the other hand, this is Iceland in spring. Iceland wasn't even inhabited by humans until around the year 900, when Vikings landed on the rough coast. The land was harsh, cold, and unwelcoming. I know this looks sunny, but it was bitterly cold, and there were dangerous waves called sneaker waves. They rush out of the freezing sea and drag unexpected tourists out to sea, with currents so strong even the best swimmers can't escape. I was pretty scared on that beach. When I think of the first Icelanders telling each other stories of the Norse gods, I imagine them huddled around a spluttering fire on cold, dark nights, with the wind roaring and their teeth chattering. And in the middle of winter, you have just 5 hours of sunlight. Hello, Ulfpa Haldunurwaimi Grufin Minefrig. That's Icelandic, the closest language to Old Norse, for hello, my favourite Norse god is Frigg. I love the Norse myths and Norse gods because they're fallible, meaning they're not perfect, just like you and me. They get hurt and die and need to eat special food to stay alive. So it's sort of so the more believable ancient gods. In one myth, the gods are angry at Loki because he helped kill Frigg's son, Balder. They take him to a cave and tie him to a rock, and they put a serpent dripping poison above his head. The gods leave him, apart from his wife, who catches the poison in a bowl, only pausing to empty the bowl. This myth teaches us to work hard to protect the things we love, but also not to kill people as a punishment. Although the first people of Iceland still use execution occasionally, this place is called Drekkingarhylur, or drowning pool, where women were thrown into the water after committing a serious crime. Probably one of the most famous Norse gods is Odin. He sacrificed his eye so he could drink water that would give him wisdom. In Iceland, we went on some long and cold hikes to learn about new things. It wasn't as difficult as losing an eye though, but this was our reward. Dettifoss, Europe's most powerful waterfall. You could almost feel their energy from the roaring water penetrating through your feet. In Iceland, food is so scarce. It's a tiny island surrounded by the freezing Atlantic and Arctic oceans, covered with volcanoes, glaciers, and fjords. They eat lots of fish and even rotten shark. Bread, known as lava bread, can be cooked in the ground for 24 hours. Just like us, the Norse gods need to eat. And Idun, the goddess of spring, grows fruit that makes the gods immortal. And just as food is important, animals were important too. not only for eating but transport. Many of the Norse gods are pulled in chariots by all sorts of animals. The wolf Skull and Haiti chase the moon and sun across the sky. Animals are still so important in Iceland. They have their own horses that have their own special Icelandic gait. The togs, which is halfway between walking and trotting. It's meant to be a lot smoother than trotting, but to me it feels a lot bumpier. I'm sure you've heard the saying, history is written by the winners. The winners like the perfect Greek gods. I'm sure you know someone like that. The person has never got less than 98% on a test. The person that somehow doesn't need to brush their hair because it never gets messy. The person that seems to accumulate friends as they go around. Everything just seems to be so easy for them. Like I said, history is really about the people who write the stories. And the Norse people have to struggle against darkness and cold for most of the year. Imagine that. So, every time you struggle, every time you feel like you're finding things a million times harder than everyone else, just remember the Norse gods. The Norse gods were alive! Thank you.